Hello, and welcome to the Spiritualist Circle of Light. This is our dream class. We are exploring dreams through Nigel Hamilton's Awakening Through Dreams, the journey through the inner landscape. And we are going to look at the subtle mental planes or the creative self. Now, this deals a lot with mind and our conditioning or discipline, however you want to look at it. Uh, Mind prefers abstract thinking or abstract images as opposed to what we're trained in or conditioned for, which is concrete. Now, you've got the two different aspects here, naturally. We have the imaginative on the one side, and we have the concrete on the other side. And, you know, if we are sitting in one, we go to one extreme. If we're sitting in the other, we go to another extreme. The concrete mind, or concrete thinking, I should say, is logical thinking. And logical thinking is, think of deductive processes or math. Logical thinking is like math. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 5 is 20. 22 divided by 11 is 2. This is logical thinking. In fact, so using divination as an example, okay, divination fell into two parts. The part we're talking about, well, natural and technical. And what we're talking about is the technical. And the technical approach is really, really ambiguous. And the way it worked was that in Mesopotamia, which is where this was prevalent at, they would look at significant events. They looked at the past. Mesopotamians, and when I say Mesopotamia, I'm talking about a whole region that included what is now Iran, Iraq, Israel, that whole valley there with the Tigris, Euphrates, all the way up into southern Turkey. So what they would do is they would look back on these significant events, and then they would look for unusual signs that may have taken place. And then they correlated the sign with the event. One of the things that they would do is they would correlate particular constellations with certain types of events. For instance, when the Big Bear was dipping below or facing a certain direction, it meant something specific. With the sun, the sun is a very popular motif. It always represents a divine intelligence and such, but it had certain significance as it moved through certain houses in the zodiac. And this is how the gates of Hercules, or the towers, I should say, of Hercules, gates works as well. You had one gate that rests with Cancer, and the other one at its opposite end, and I believe that is Capricorn. So you've got the two that are opposing, and when the sun was resting in Cancer within these gates, okay, the gates within Cancer were the ones that the soul would pass through entering this plane. So when the sun was setting in Cancer with these gates there, that was the beginning of life. And when the sun was resting in the gates in Capricorn, which is during the winter months, we just went through this. This is right around Christmas, the winter solstice. That's the the gates in Capricorn. Well, then the sun was dying, or not dying. The sun was moving out of the physical aspect. And what this indicated was when the sun reached a certain, coming out of Capricorn, the sun begins to wane. It begins to grow. Life begins to move forward. And when it comes back through the gates of Cancer, then the sun begins to wax, meaning everything begins to deteriorate. And you've got these simple signs, very complex, but simple. And there was a logical order with this. And it's through this logic that, this is concrete thinking, because there is a certain logic to it. It's like interpreting dreams, the cliches we looked at. If you dream this, then this is what it means. If you are in a car and you are driving, it means you are in control. If you are in a car and you are not driving, you are not in control. This is concrete thinking. And some believe that this concrete thinking is limiting, because, this is problems versus challenges. A problem only has one answer, where a challenge can have several answers. That's the difference between logical and abstract thinking. And they say that if one is preferred, say the concrete or the logical thinking is preferred, one risks become rigid in their thinking. However, if one is too far over into the abstract or the imaginative sphere, then we tend to become whimsical. And in either extreme, it's detrimental. We don't want to be in either of these extremes. Where we want to be is somewhere in between. So we are trained to think structurally, meaning that if it's this, then it's this. If it's that, then it's this. That, and it's the like the technical divination I was explaining to you. If you butcher a cow and the liver has a stain on the left side, then your life is going to be troubled, because the left is about destruction, whereas the right is about building up or growth. These are the things that they used. But when you bring the logical thinking pattern that we are trained to be, and we combine it with the abstract thinking, and we're trained to be this too, but it varies with your vocation. Philosophy, religion, spirituality, these things are in the abstract realm, whereas mathematics and science, these are in the logical realm. And when you can bring the two together, which is the direction we are moving at, because when you look at science today, if you investigate it, science knows more about energy healing, knows more about utilizing our natural EM fields, uh, light therapy, these things that were done without explanations, that were considered superstitious. Science is now has been investigating them, and they have validated them. So those of you who are energy healers, doesn't make a difference of the modality that you use. They have discovered that there are certain qualities that are required, period, which is compassion, a desire to help others. And there was a third one that escapes me, it eludes me, but those are the two main ones: compassion, a desire to help others, and empathy. You see, abstract thinking comes in with the emotions I feel, whereas logical thinking is this and this will be this. And when you bring the two together, when we bring the two together, then we move outside the box. And when we move outside the box, what I mean by that is our problem solving skills become very different. It's like staring at all these letters in a word find puzzle, and you're able to see them all, and then the words just emerge. That is bringing them in. Whereas logical thinking is you go by line by line by line, and you pull out the words. Where imaginative thinking is you just look for patterns. But when you bring the two together, you've got the words, you've got the patterns, you bring them together, and then you're able to just sit and rest your gaze on it, not stare at it, but rest your gaze on it. And the words just emerge on their own. That's the difference between one or the other. And when you bring the two together, that's what's happening. So dreams are like that too. Dreams are patterns. They react to the behavioral patterns, the thinking patterns that we are familiar with. They bring information in that fashion. Just to give you an idea, a dream. I'm at my workbench. I'm organizing it, putting things together. I've already, in previous dreams, I've already left. I'm no longer working, but now I'm coming back in this dream. I'm returning. I'm organizing my workbench. I've got my lead team leader across from me doing his thing, and I'm asking about work orders. And he says, "Don't worry about that right now. They're coming." But I'm still looking. It's my habit. That's my pattern that I do. I'm at work. If I'm at work, then I need to be doing something. So I'm looking and I'm not finding it. So if I were to interpret this, all right, workbench, the last job I held, I was an assembler, and I was in that position for 12 years. And it's ingrained. It has become ingrained. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hold that position for 12 years. I held that position for more like 6 years. No, anyway, I held it for a while, not the entire time I was there, but I held it for a while. So the workbench was my natural workstation there. So when I dream about this pattern, the message it's conveying is work and organizing. Well, the only time you organize stuff is when you are beginning a job, or you're wrapping up a job. But in this case, since I'm looking for work orders, I'm beginning a job, which is exactly what I'm doing here as well, not with this particular class, but an assignment I've been given with the association that I'm part of, the Independent Spiritualist Association. So I'm using that. That's the thinking process there. I'm looking for work orders, but I find nothing. I'm told, don't worry about it. It's coming. So in other words, keep doing what I'm doing. The real work is it hasn't started yet. Now that's just an example. So dreams provide us with a path towards our inner reality, meaning our state of mind. And in this example, with that workbench situation in a work environment, with that example, it tells me the frame of mind I'm in. It's not that it's time to organize things, but I'm beginning to organize things, which is exactly what I'm doing, is I'm beginning to organize my environment around me. This is the structure of the dream. It's the way we're taught to think, but I'm bringing the two together. So I go by what the emotion is in the dream. And in this particular dream, the emotion is anticipation. So dreams also reveal, if they're revealing a path to the reality of the inner mind, providing us a means of self-discovery, or a meaning to life, finding purpose, and they offer glimpses of what could be. In this case, it's offering a glimpse of you have more important work coming. Okay. But as they reveal this, they also reveal blocks in our thinking, places where we are stymied. And what that tells us is that our habits, our patterns, habits or patterns, thinking patterns, the way we approach things, if we are experiencing blocks, if they're revealing blocks, say you're having a dream and you are going up a mountain, but there's a barrier and you can't get around it, it means that there's a blockage. Your path is blocked. Your climb, the way you are thinking, something that is going on in your life is blocked. And when this happens, if we examine the rest of the dream, we'll find avenues of exploration or opportunities for exploration that will allow us to expand our problem solving skills, expand our mind, just expansion, allow us to grow. Another thing that dreams are about is is the idea of self-love. Now, this is something in our culture, in Western cultures. Self-love is something that is not expressed very well, because what is needed, when we're looking for this, self-love is all about finding harmony, harmonizing our inner reality with our outer reality, harmonizing our inner reality, just finding harmony within our life structure, within our experience. But we're so focused on the balance. And what happens with a balance? A balance depends on opposition. If you want to have a balance, you got to have equal weights on both of the plates, because if you have too much on one, you're out of balance. So think of a balance as rigidity. If you are seeking a balance, you are seeking rigidity. You don't want to move forward. You don't want to move backwards, because to move forward puts you off balance. To move backwards puts you off balance. You want to stay put. However, the nature of the universe is flux, is change. So you can't maintain a balance within your life because it's unnatural. Harmony is the natural state. Harmony is the natural state of the universe. Therefore, it is your natural state of being. When we are in disharmony, it means we are experiencing a blockage, a block in our thinking, momentary rigidity. When we are out of harmony, it's not the same as being out of balance, because harmony does not require a balance. It merely adjusts to what is there. So with a balance, I've got to have equal amounts in each plate, in each hand. If this happens, I'm out of balance, but am I out of harmony? No, I'm not. I merely adjust what's needed. Meaning that if the scale is like this, I can adjust to the scale and I'm still in harmony. Harmony is much easier to maintain than a balance. And this is what is revealed through our dreams. Another thing to keep in mind is when we are exploring the inner reality, we're also looking at the two main aspects of creation or of life, which is going to be the male energy and the female energy. We don't want them to be balanced. We want them to be harmonized. Now, male energy is the ability to influence. It's the logical aspects of us, whereas female energy is the ability to receive assistance, to receive aid, to receive love. The only time when we are in a state of reception is a type of climax, whether it's through sex or a buildup and then a gentle disbursement, however you want to put it. But that's the only time when we are at a moment of reception. Orgasm is the best way to describe it, because it's the release, but the release allows you to receive much more. Of course, you also have to be in the proper frame of mind for all of this. But think of children. Children are consistently receiving and applying consistently. This is unconditional love. Unconditional love gives without question and receives without question. Anything more than that becomes a bargaining. It becomes a proposition. And these are some of the things that are going on. This is what dreams reveal in us. If we are too rigid in our thinking, we're too caught up in the male aspect. If we're too whimsical in our thinking, we're caught up in the female aspect. But when we bring the two together, that's where we want to be. We want the two to work together, not opposing each other. So dreams with images of distortion are representations of your life out of balance. Because what does a balance require? It requires opposition. Distortions in your dreams are clear indications that you are out of harmony and that you need to find harmony. And typically, the only way to achieve harmony is to become accepting. To become accepting. And that is very difficult to do when we are conditioned to be number one. So the way to resolve these issues of disharmony or exaggerations rests in our ability of perspective taking, meaning that you not only see things from your point of view, but you allow yourself to experience things from another person's point of view. Sometimes there are multiple views, and the ability to alter your perspective to see another's perspective is a way of achieving that harmony. Another way of achieving harmony, believe it or not, is going to be through discipline. Impulsive thinking. That's powered by emotions. Impulsive thinking, impulsive actions. Ooh, I like that. I want it. And you reach out and take it. That's impulsive actions. And a disciplined person would either ask for it, wait for it, or would simply move on. Compassion. Compassion falls in line with empathy. In order to be compassionate, you have to be emotionally engaged. So look at this. We have emotions here and we have thinking here. Thinking is discipline, emotions, compassion. We have these two things there, and we have to bring them together. And anything else that might be similar to this. All of these are revealed in our dreams. Our dreams take us in this direction if we are exploring them. Remember, we talked about Negreto, where we dismantle them. And that's what we're doing. We are dismantling these dreams. And through dismantling these dreams, we discover, I don't want to say find, we discover what we are lacking. And when we are become aware of what we are lacking, we're able to move into the next stage, which I believe is Alberto. So since this is dream class, let's look at a dream and we'll work through it. This is one I had. I told you the first part. I'm at a workbench organizing it, looking for work orders, and my lead person is across from me, and I ask about these work orders, and he's telling me, don't worry about that right now. They're coming, but I'm still looking. There's a sense of expectation there. So I'm outside. You know how dreams go. You don't go to the door and then step outside. You are just outside. So I'm outside in the parking lot and I'm looking for a place to park. And as I'm looking at the parking lot, it's not full or anything. I don't know why I'm looking elsewhere, but I look elsewhere. And across the way is another parking lot, but it's fenced in. But it sits higher up. See, regular parking lot, the one across the street. That's the one I go to. I ride my motorcycle up the hill, which is on the west side of the lot. I find an opening to the right, and the fence is only there to separate one lot from the other. It's like a border. It just tells you you've transitioned from one point to another. So at first, I rest the front of the motorcycle across the right axle of a three-wheel motorcycle. Thinking better of it, I select another place to park, and where I chose to park was an incline. And parking the motorcycle on the incline means I can push it around, and when I pull it back to set up on the stand there, it's the gravity works for me. So it sits like this. So let's look at this section here. All right. So I'm looking at a parking lot. Now, typically when we park stuff, these are temporary locations. Think of them as temporary holding places. So I look across the street and I see a fenced in lot. Now, a fence is to keep things out and to keep things in. So again, another holding thing that's going on here. But I discover that this is not the case. I find a way in. I go up a hill, meaning I am progressing or evolving, however you want to do that. And the drive that I am going up is on the west side, indicating now the west, according to a lot of symbology with the Egyptians, the tombs were on the west side of the city. When you use the phrase going westward, it meant that you were going to the tombs, or life was coming to an end, or an ending. So on the west side, going up the drive on the west side indicates that something is coming to a close. And then I find an opening on the right. Now, right is growth, left is decay. Don't ask me why. It's just when you're facing north, east, and west. And it's got to do with the sun. So while something is coming to a close, something else is beginning, which is the natural flow of life. Decay and growth occur simultaneously. Okay, so let's see. The motorcycle is balance, or it can be harmony, uh, which is a direction I would be moving in towards. I go to park the motorcycle on the right side of the axle on a three-wheeler. A three-wheel is that's well, I'm not sure, but typically three represents a trinity of some sort. So there's three things involved there. But I park it on an incline, meaning I'm building towards something, but it's not quite there yet. Now, that's just that section there. So, back to the dream. A man greets me. I say, I hope you don't mind my parking there. He says, no, and invites me inside. And there he has tables full of research material, books, magazines, videos. I mean, to me, it's like a candy store. And there are others there, and I'm conversing with them. And these people are well versed about life. They're telling me not to worry. All will come as it's required. These can be guides. So, what does this suggest? Well, the person that I came across in the parking lot may be a guide. The others may be guides. The material inside, it's pretty obvious. I'll be doing a lot of research, a lot of work, bringing things together, a lot of growth with that. And again, the people in there could represent guides, can also represent uh, associates. So that is the dream. And since we were talking about inner reality, this is my inner reality. It explains it. I'm waiting, which was indicated in the first part of the dream. There's a time to wait. I'm in a waiting period here. And it's not to prevent me from doing anything or to encourage me to be doing anything. And it's just neutral. I'm in a neutral space right now. And I'm preparing to move in a direction to begin to grow again. I've moved forward from where I was at. I've moved positions, and I am now staging myself. That's what's happening. I'm staging myself. I'm getting ready to move into the next project. And this also tells, it expresses how I think, and I don't know what else to say with that. So that's it for this class here. If you would like a dream interpreted, you can contact me through Facebook's Messenger. You can send me an email. We have interpreted dreams through Facebook's Messenger. Usually I get notifications. Sometimes I don't. So I apologize for that, but we do dream interpretations and we do other things as well. There are other classes that are being put together for your benefit. If you found this of value, please donate through the website. It allows us to leave seeds with others. Also, feel free to browse the website. We have plenty of articles, videos, guided meditations there. Check it out. So I want to thank you for joining me, and I want to thank you for allowing me to share.